Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. Thank you for joining us on the Political Deep Dive tonight. I am Dave Valente, joined by Jennifer the Tilted Lever. We're paying homage to Jerry Springer with our names tonight. And joining us tonight, the very crestfallen Dan,
Motherfucker!
the man.
Motherfucker! Jesus Christ! Fucking clears have haunted this series. Oh my God!
Wow, that was
we'll tell you that I think the last two games were some of the best hockey I've ever seen. They were phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
To be on the losing end of both of them is unbelievable. And with Krejci and Bergeron probably not coming back, it's just sad. But
you know what? The last time a team got their season, the perfect season ruined was 2018. That too, and they've won several Super Bowls since then. But the Tampa Bay Lightning losing to Columbus in the first round back in 2018, and then they came back and started winning Stanley Cups from then on. So, it's a setback.
Here is the solution.
That is the solution.
This is the solution. This is the special. I just want to say,
bourbon.
Jorgensen backbone bourbon. That remember they issued a special.
Joe Jorgensen.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, when she was doing her tour of the country on the tour bus in 2020, her ride through Kentucky, they yielded a batch of special bourbon, and I think she ended up doing another fundraiser there as well later in the campaign. So
that's cool.
Yep, it was a good thing. All right, okay, let's get on to the good shit.
Yeah. Once again, it's a free for all, and thanks for everybody joining us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and all that good stuff. How y'all doing? Having a good night. Hope you like it. Give us a like, a share, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Share it out so that people can get their eyeballs on it. That helps us out. Gets more people in here. Gets more people talking about what's going on here. In fact, let me pop up some conversation here. We've actually had quite a bit here. Hold on a second.
I tell you what, if you guys invite somebody to come into the room, I will swear and say their name.
Dan is good. Yes, this will be a very good stream.
I'm ready. I am.
Yeah.
Ready.
That was a hard one. So Jasper, James, Janice, thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. On this side of the screen, actually directly in front of the camera, I've got TikTok going. So we're all official agents of the Chinese state right now. So say hi to China and hi to TikTok.
Come with a dental plan?
Sorry. Yeah, well, I think so, but not the best dental plan. But honestly, thank you for joining us on TikTok. Tap that screen. What that does is get more people watching the stream, joining us in. Feel free to give us a comment. I can't display it on screen live like I can with the stuff that comes from YouTube and those things. But
remember, we need you guys to tick in order for us to talk.
That is right. Dan is the man.
I'll be here all week.
Yeah.
Hey, I brought
a
new
playoff series to watch.
What?
Not like you got a playoff series to watch. I mean,
exactly. The playoffs are over. I am seriously. I don't know. I might watch a little Edmonton, but I really don't care anymore.
I've gotten to the point. It's 12 years since my team have made the playoffs. I mean, I'm talking all kinds of junk, but my Sabres are a dumpster fire inside of a super fun site. But
yeah, I tell you, I was so looking forward to the best team in hockey against undeniably the best player in hockey, and that being the final.
Yeah, Edmonton. Well, see, I celebrate Operation Leaf Blower every year. So
Nice.
all the Canadian teams getting knocked out of the playoffs. That's what I've looked forward to because it's been since 1992 or 93. I'm sorry, since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup final. Now, if you say that to Canadians will always say, "Well, all your teams are stuck with Canadians." The NHL has never been as low on the number of Canadians on each of the teams as it is now. We've got international representation.
That's because of Justin Trudeau, by the way.
Yeah, I blame Trudeau as well.
PM steal your girl.
Flapping head, it's all full of lies. But no, I love Canada. It makes me laugh whenever Canada gets knocked. The last Canadian team gets knocked out because then it's just another year that the Canadians don't have their cup. But
yeah.
Oh, Dan, how much have you been drinking?
Oh,
not a lot.
Okay, I just don't want you to put a jugular on the air, man.
I mean, it's got like safety guards.
That's what's great about this. You can't cut yourself.
Okay, well, that's
there
good.
You go. So do you have like a towel or something so they're not going to get hair and?
Oh, he's gonna be hairy.
Well,
keyboards and stuff.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm probably gonna go outside.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And do it on the porch. No, I'll take the camera with me.
All right, there you
go. But
how close are like neighbors and stuff?
I have nobody near me. Fortunately, nobody lives anywhere near me.
I was like,
all right.
But I would have to take my shirt off, which I don't think the FCC is ready.
The FCC does not regulate this.
Oh,
but
you have boy nipples. It'll be fine.
We'll get banned by Zuck. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. All right. Free the nipple.
Free the nipple. That's right.
Absolutely.
All right. But I tell you, I did bring something to the party today.
What'd you bring?
I brought a new quiz.
Oh.
Let me pop it up here.
Okay. We'll do both quizzes.
Exactly. I think 2 quizzes is fun.
Yeah. All right.
So this is on the record. It's the Washington Post quote quiz.
Let's close the chat for now. We'll share chats as they come in. So.
All right. So here we go. Here's the first one. I can blow this up a little bigger too. Let's just see what I can.
That's what she said.
Good, because it's a little. Thank you.
Start.
This is significant crack in the stained glass ceiling. Which person ruled this fall that for the first time women will be able to vote at the Synod of Bishops General Assembly?
Well, we don't even get
points to me for pronouncing synod correctly.
We don't even get guess or anything like that, huh?
Answer a guess. That involves religion. I don't know how I would know that.
But I'll tell you what, if it involves,
I think Pope
religion, yeah, exactly. That can be the only person.
Pope Francis.
Let's try Pope Francis.
Pope Frankie. Frankie Knuckles.
Let's see.
Yay! Yes.
Good
That's
job.
Catholic. Woo!
Let's finish this job. I know we can, because this is the United States of America. There's nothing, simply nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Except for pass a budget.
Yeah. Or debt ceiling.
I'm actually not a brilliant driver. I also can't sing without closing my eyes. Adele. Adele said this to which late night talk show host while driving him to work during his last week?
James Corden.
Yeah. He's the one.
What'd you say, James Corden?
Yeah.
Nice. We are
Lake
crushing
hairs.
this.
Right. Lake hairs.
The company is left with no choice but to file this lawsuit to protect its cast members, guests, and partners from a relentless campaign to weaponize government power against Disney in retaliation for expressing a political viewpoint unpopular with certain state officials. This is an excerpt from Disney's lawsuits against which person?
Rhonda Santos. Rhonda Santos.
Rhonda Santos.
No, it's Satins. Or Santis.
S?
IS. Yes.
All right. We're cruising. The merger could make this company even stronger in cloud gaming, stifling competition in this growing market. Britain blocked a $69 billion merger between and Xbox owning tech giant. That makes it too easy. I agree. I have to say Xbox owning. All right. These birds sort of bonded together. They did want to video call each other. They did have preferences. All of this stuff just really speaks to how cognitively complex these birds are. 3-month study found that what type of birds popular pets among humans enjoy partaking in video calls with other birds of their kind. I haven't heard about this at all.
I haven't either. Maybe parakeet or parrot or macaw.
I'm going to guess parrot, and I'm going to give a little bit of. James says he thinks it's the cardinal.
West Virginia cardinal, to be exact.
West Virginia cardinal.
As opposed to.
But I am going to go on a rant here and say that people should not own the great birds. It's cruel and inhumane. They live, 80 years. You're separating them from their families, and almost invariably they outlive the people who buy them, and they have a terrible life afterwards. All right, so we want to say parrots.
I will parrot that answer.
All right, parrots.
Yes.
Yay. If I had done what you're accusing me of, I'd be quite an idiot to stand on stage in front of 20,000 people and do that. Which musician said this at the start of his trial last week over whether his 2014 Grammy-winning hit "Thinking Out Loud" copied Marvin Gaye's "Let's Get It On"?
So that would be Ed Sheeran.
Oh, who is it? Is it Ed Sheeran?
Yeah.
Good. I've never liked Ed Sheeran.
What do you have against Ed Sheeran?
That's Sheeran.
Ginger.
Hey, no, there's no H.
No H?
Except for the beginning.
I don't know. I think he's pretty talented. I have felt deep shame for what people went through because I failed them. That must also be Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
Which disgraced biotech entrepreneur was supposed to report for a prison sentence
Elizabeth, what's her last name?
Yep. Elizabeth Thero.
Oh, it was Theranos was the
right
company.
Elizabeth. Not Olsen.
Not Olsen.
No.
Come on, help us
I
out,
can see her
audience.
because she's, that
right,
blonde.
She did that whole fake voice thing, which was really weird. She would talk whenever she would do press conferences or anything. She would put on a really deep voice to talk to people, but then her real voice is very different. Elizabeth, God, what is her name?
Can you get half credit?
I could get a hint.
Let's get a hint.
We knew that.
Multiple choice place? Oh.
There we go.
There you go.
Elizabeth Holmes. That's levitation, Holmes. 1 point.
All right.
Our goal is to enable all children to see themselves in this doll, while also encouraging children to play with dolls who do not look like themselves. As part of its fashionista collection,
Chucky.
Which kind of doll with Down syndrome was unveiled this week?
Barbie.
Who is it?
Chucky. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Barbie.
Barbie.
Got to be Barbie. Yep. Wouldn't make any sense if it were G.I. Joe. I'm no stranger to hard times. You're going to be faced with adversities throughout your life. This is a pretty big one. You find a way to just grind it out. Which Phoenix Mercury player said this in an emotional news conference ahead of WNBA training camp?
That's got to be Brittany Griner.
Brittany Griner?
That's, I think, Griner.
I-N-E-R.
I don't think there's an I there.
Yay. Oh, bonus question. We can risk up to 46
Category
points.
national. All right. Let's do it.
Make it true daily double?
Daily double. Let's do this.
By the way, the entire episode of Let Them Eat Bugs, not quite as good as pizza, streaming now on Fox Nation, and we'll be back on Monday. He was not expected back on Monday. Blah, blah, blah.
Tucker Carlson. We'll talk about him in a moment.
I love it. It makes me happy every time.
I know.
Every time.
We got 92 points.
Whoop, whoop.
That's pretty good.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Thanks for letting me share my new quiz.
No, that's good.
Cool.
Good stuff. All right. Let me share my quiz. Let me show you mine since you showed me yours.
Cheers.
All righty.
Cheers, queers.
All right. Question. Weekly news quiz. 5:30. Ed Sheeran. Saw him.
That's King Charles.
A little bit.
Ed Sheeran.
That's Barry White.
Right. Yes. And
Joe with Korea. King Charles.
So we got our context clues. We know we're talking about these guys. All right. Question number 1. President Joe Biden announced his bid for a second term this week, though polls consistently reflect concern about his age. How old is Biden?
He's 80 now.
He is 80. He will be 8. Could be what, 86 when he. If he gets it was the second term, it'd be 86, like just turned 86. But
at the end,
Yep. Yeah. Nikki Haley really stepped in it.
It would be nice. It would be nice if my 80s were as active as his. I think he's doing great for 80.
Yeah.
But it's not an appropriate age to run the country.
No.
Well, if you had the health care that he has, you probably would be fine.
Yeah, I think most 80-year-olds, I don't trust them to run a microwave.
This is true. Well, he doesn't.
I'm not disagreeing.
I put the fork in again.
Oh my gosh.
Hey,
yeah.
Look, George W. Bush choked on a peanut, and he was much younger. So,
right.
All right. Question number 2. Fox News rocked the media world this week when it announced it would part ways with which top-rated shows. I know. Makes me happy every time I see this.
Mother Tucker.
Yes, Biden is too old.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens to him, though, in this world of media.
I don't know. I mean, because you think of the other high-profile Fox hosts that have left over the years, like what was that? Bill
O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly, yeah. Like, I think he does his own podcast, but I don't think he does really much anything in the media anymore.
Was Sean Hannity still on Fox?
He is.
Is he?
Yes.
See, I show you how much I watch Fox.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to ask.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Yeah.
My ex-husband watched Fox. Go figure. He's an ex, right?
I mean, I think Tucker will land somewhere. It's probably going to be on like a Newsmax or OANN. OANN will probably throw him a lifeline because they just really need that big hook to bring viewers to get them back on cable companies.
It's interesting. So here's the other interesting thing about it, though, is we talked about this with Howard Stern, right?
Yeah.
Howard Stern, they gave him an enormous deal to go to Sirius.
Well,
and
Sirius.
They did it. I mean, the thing was, Howard obviously is a much more astute businessman than Tucker. All along, Howard has owned all of his shows, always been part of his deal.
Yep.
And so he plays all his old shows when he's not on the air.
Yep.
So he does, 3 shows a week, and everything else is repeats or other things. And he lets like his staff have shows and stuff like that. Tucker could do something like that. It wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah.
Who wants to be a thousandaire?
I played the lottery this week and I became a $1 again. Yeah.
Right here.
Awesome.
Right here.
Awesome. Let's see. Yeah. British pop star Ed Sheeran was in court this week after being accused of copying which song from 1973? Let's Get It On by Marvin Gaye, Imagine by John Lennon, ABC by the Jackson 5, or Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen.
ABC.
And Janice is right. It is Let's Get It On because we got that in the last
Come on, girl, you're down on me. What is the song that he wrote that's supposed to be?
It was
Thinking Out Loud.
All right. We'll look for it. I mean, the thing is, there's only so many notes.
Right? I can see Ed Sheeran doing.
That's what I think. And there's only so many combinations of those notes that could be
right. I mean, it's all 4 chord songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but Ed Sheeran doing War Pigs, I think that'd be awesome.
Have you ever seen Axis of Awesome's 4 chord song skit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good
fantastic.
Stuff. Question number 4. Which state passed a bill this week banning most sales of assault-style weapons? New York, California, Washington, or Tennessee?
Go ahead and knock mine off.
I know Tennessee's not.
That's never happening.
I know it's got to be California.
Nope.
Is it
what? No,
is
it's
it
Washington State.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
All right.
Like of several recent mass shootings, Washington's Democratic Governor Jay Inslee this week signed a statewide ban on most sales of assault-style weapons, including the popular AR-15 rifle. They're not confiscating already existing stock like the people have bought, but you can't sell it. But you can give it away.
It's crazy.
You can do what they do in Washington D.C. when it comes to cannabis, when they say buy a T-shirt for $80 and oops, mysteriously wrapped up in that T-shirt is an ounce of weed.
Right. In order to sell our $80 T-shirts, we're giving a bonus event of a
raffle, something along those lines. Buy a T-shirt for a couple grand and get a AR-15.
Now, I am a Second Amendment guy. Okay, you want to own a gun?
Yeah.
Own a gun. But there is, there's a lot that people don't understand about what the AR is, and of course, the AR is a platform.
It's an assault rifle. It says it in its name.
Right. Exactly. That part's stupid. However, one of the things that it does have is a very high muzzle velocity, and as a result, when it hits, energy has to go somewhere. And so it has this very high muscle velocity. All this energy, when it hits the body, it expands a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. And so the exit wounds are really big on the other side of an AR shot. And, it is a particularly fatal gun.
It is.
It was designed to be that way.
Yeah.
But if that's the gun you want to own, you ought to be able to own it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in a lot of ways, sometimes gun owners are their own worst enemies. Like, I don't get the fetishization of guns. Like, a gun is a tool. Like, I don't go out there and pose with Black and Decker stuff.
Right. Exactly.
I see people post more about their guns online than say, I took it hunting and took a 20-point buck. You don't even see the buck; you just see the gun. The guy standing there with the gun. Like, we've gotten so much on the guns than we do on what we do with them.
Look at this shooting that just happened in was it Texas, where the family asked the guy to stop shooting his gun late at night.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's not gun control. That's being a nice neighbor.
Yeah, and it is an example of that somebody definitely did fetishize their gun.
Yeah.
Right? It's firing it. I mean, how much of a dick do you have to be firing your gun late at night? Okay. I mean, they actually have laws against loud music late at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to throw my stereo at somebody if they call the cops. Like,
exactly.
Beat somebody to death with a boombox. Like, I think a lot of it with guns is that we definitely have an issue, and I think we're in a nation. I know that we don't want something like national health care, but we're going to have to do something about mental health care in this country because we're not cutting it right now. And you're seeing people do things because we just have really shitty mental health care in this country. that we don't know how to deal with one another. We're in a changing society in that we're doing most of our stuff via social media, where we're lacking that social interaction that, you know, 10 years ago, if you said that directly to somebody on the streets, you'd get punched in the face. Or 20 years ago,
Yeah.
you can say that stuff. You can talk about violence online. You can do things like that. And people just don't know how to deal with one another now. And I think the mental health deficiencies within the country right now are directly why we're seeing all this crap.
Yep. Well, that and we are in a position where we have trained ourselves that it is okay to impose our will on other people,
Yeah.
that we don't respect people's independence, and that the power of government can be used to get your way. So that even if people are doing stuff that you don't like, if you can somehow win an election, then you can get to use force to stop them.
And then
And what
we
we,
also made politics a zero-sum game. So if they win, I absolutely lose, and now I have no power, and then I'm going to exert my power with whatever I've got, which turns into weapons.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it really is
Crazy world.
strange world. All right, question number 5. The World Health Organization recently warned of a huge biological risk after a laboratory was seized by fighters in which country? Sudan, Iran, Ukraine, or Cameroon?
Hmm. I am going to guess. I don't know, but it seems like Ukraine is too easy,
Yeah,
and so Sudan
I think Sudan
seems
is the
more
hot
likely.
spot right now, but you don't why would you have a biological
Exactly, that's exactly it. If there's one place in the world that I wouldn't put one, it's in
But,
Sudan.
Sudan was also the site where they bombed after the first World Trade Center bombing. Clinton went after he was given the opportunity to go after bin Laden. He fired some cruise missiles into, both Afghanistan and, Sudan.
Yep.
Now Sudan said it was a aspirin plant, but, who knows what was going on there. Um I haven't heard anything about any, like, large scale insurgency in Iran. Cameroon may, another country, like, why would you have a, biological weapon plant there or biological research plant there? Although it makes sense to have one in Africa because we have a lot of stuff that, flourishes there.
Well, right, and you can make the argument that
Research on, like, Ebola.
exactly, but my gut feeling is Sudan,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to go with any other answer.
Anybody oops,
James thinks it's COVIDopia.
which, probably. Yeah, I think so. No, I'm gonna say Sudan as well. AJ? AJ is our
I'll be a follower. We'll say Sudan.
international expert.
Oh yeah, and from Morrison, Tennessee.
Yeah,
All right. Yeah, so National Public Health Laboratory was seized this week by fighters in Sudan's capital of Khartoum. A high-ranking medical source told CNN that the lab, which contains sample of diseases and other biological material, had been taken over by the RSF, the paramilitary group battling the Sudanese armed forces for control of the country. Yay! That sounds fun.
yeah. I watched a pretty amazing TED thing on close calls we've had with biological uh, weapons in the
Oh
past.
yeah, like
It's
there was one
pretty shocking.
like
The smallpox that was discovered was accidentally left in an unsecured laboratory for like 20 years.
the anthrax release in Ekaterinburg, Russia.
Well, right, that anthrax one in Russia, people don't even know about
Oh
that.
yeah, I mean that was
But that
deep
was
Soviet
crazy,
times.
right? Killed everybody in the valley.
Yeah, deep Soviet times. There's that island in Kazakhstan that's just this biological
Yep,
warfare fodder waiting to happen. So yeah, I mean there's
right. And the way that it happened was there was a filter that somebody had taken out but not
yeah
replaced because the replacements weren't there. And so he didn't put the old filter in, he just left it out.
yeah, and
Or
poisons a
so
quarter of the
so the
city, I
Russians
think.
say.
Ekaterinburg is a big town too.
Yep, yep. Not anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happened, I think in the 60s.
It was a long time ago.
I mean, they were covered, but yeah, there was definitely a large number of people exposed to anthrax there. All right, question number 6. Authorities are searching for several men after they recently escaped from a jail in which state? Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, or Maine?
Mississippi.
Was it Mississippi?
I think so.
All righty. I don't know.
I don't think they have jails in Maine, so
It's called Canada.
Exactly.
Sorry, Canada. Yes, correct. All 4 men escaped from a Mississippi jail over the weekend. Officials said one of them was found dead in a burned building after a standoff. Second was apprehended in Texas. As of Friday, authorities were continuing to search for the 2 other suspects, or 2 other escaped inmates. So, all right. Oh, there's the fire, I guess. The one guy. That sucks. All right, question number 7. Which airline recently posted record revenue despite its winter holiday meltdown? I'm guessing Southwest with the colors, and also knowing that they had that big meltdown.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they had the big meltdown.
Yeah.
The other guys didn't.
Good call, Jasper.
Great job, AJ.
Good job, AJ.
That one's kind of close.
All righty. Months after a holiday service meltdown, Southwest Airlines said its bookings in March were finally back on track. Revenue soared 22% to $5.7 billion in the quarter, according to the company. Good stuff. I mean,
how much to say? You guys have any of you been flying recently?
I have not. It's been a while since I haven't flown since last summer.
I flew last in December. They say air travel is back, full force now. And when that happens, Southwest, even though they have that antiquated system, was always the best at it.
Yeah. So it's back full force. You're going to have that dude sitting next to you taking off his shoes. You have that flatulent guy, which is me, just sitting next to you. Yeah, there we go. Never give it away, Dan. Always sell the feet pics.
Always.
Only feet.
I like to give them a taste. Taste of the sugar.
Taste of the cheese.
Taste of the cheese, yeah.
Question number 8. Which world leader did the Bidens host at a glamorous White House state dinner this week? Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol, or UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak?
We know because if you scroll up,
yeah, it was his announcement. It was
the picture of the South Korean flag is there. Ta-da!
Or he announced he's running for the president of South Korea. We're not really sure
yet. Right. I mean, I'm sure his aides were worried that would happen.
I'll just start breaking out in Korean. Just start.
We're worried that A, Biden will inappropriately touch somebody in the audience. B, he might get confused and say that he is running for president of South Korea.
Yeah. So Biden and First Lady Jill Biden capped South Korean President Yoel's official state visit with a lavish dinner. 70-year allegiance.
Well, unfortunately, there were 2 big controversies. First of all, Jill Biden suggested they could invite both North and South Korea to be there. That's such a good sports joke, and it's lost on almost everybody. But secondly, Biden asked the prime minister which one of BTS he was.
He will only touch like hair, but remember that corn pop was a bad dude. Nice.
Gangnam Style. Whoop, 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 whoop. Open Gangnam Style.
Oh no.
Hey,
Who is the guy that did the American Idol that was just awful? William Hung.
Yes. Although I think he was Chinese.
Was he Chinese?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Question number 9. Which retailer known for its iconic blue and white 20% off coupons will get rid of all of its inventory in a liquidation sale. Walmart, Lowe's, IKEA, or Bed Bath & Beyond.
Bed Bath Beyond.
Yes, Bed Bath & Beyond is
I agree with
going
you.
bye-bye.
Bed Bath and Beyond body odor.
Yeah. It's going to the great beyond now.
I don't think I've ever bought anything there, ever. Not once in my life.
I bought a one of those Sobacal or Cloud pillows there one time.
I bought some cotton sheets there.
All right.
Normally I
yeah.
prefer sheets, but
yeah, I mean, if you want to see Karens in the wild, go to a Bed Bath & Beyond here in the next few weeks because there's going to be some combat there.
Yep.
Mm. My lawyer's out of the country. I can't get in trouble. That sounds like trouble. He specifically said, "Don't get into trouble."
Don't get in trouble until I get back. There we go. Sounds like sound advice to me.
He's a good guy.
Question number 10, and a chance for a perfect week. A life-size chocolate sculpture of King Charles III was unveiled this week to celebrate which upcoming occasion? This was an easy one. Birthday, coronation, wedding anniversary, or birth of a grandchild.
It's the coronation, right?
Yes.
Hey, Alexa, shut the fuck up. Thank you. My Alexa just starts going off every once.
I can't do that right now, Dave.
Well, she does. She actually does when I say shut the fuck up. She shuts the fuck up. So
yep,
that works for me. Coronation. I want to take one of those ears. Just like a rabbit. I want to take one of those ears.
Alexa, play Ed Sheeran.
Well, I got headphones on. I'm the one who's triggering her.
Dave, play Ed Sheeran.
I will not do that to people.
All right. Well, good job. We've crushed the quizzes.
We did. That is awesome.
Let's talk about, Dave, you built some really nice show notes.
I did have some nice show notes. So it's a sad week, and if you notice my name, notice AJ's name. Dan, you failed the quiz. Or failed the assignment.
I'm sorry.
Our names are an homage to one Jerry Springer, who passed away after a short battle with pancreatic cancer. He certainly had a lasting impact on modern U.S. television. Before, there's Dan. All right. Before he was on, talk shows were pretty staid. I mean, I would say, like Phil Donahue. Yeah, he did have some controversial subjects, but they were pretty, formulaic. It was, guest in front. You ask them some questions, then you go to the audience and ask them some questions. Jerry Springer kind of turned that on its head. It's like him and to an extent Geraldo Rivera. And
yeah, I mean, I think Geraldo was sort of in the space, but I think so.
Maury
back into Jerry. Jerry Springer was born in Highgate Tube Station during a bombing raid in London. His family is English. He was actually English. His grandparents and many other people in his family died in the Holocaust, and his family actually fled from Poland to England a few years beforehand, which proved to be a pretty good decision. Yeah. Then they came to the United States. Bob Hope actually has the best line. Bob Hope, who was also born in England, says, "I was born in England, but I left when I found out I couldn't become king." Jerry Springer came over here and did nothing but succeed. He was a lawyer for a while. Then he was on the city council in Cincinnati and eventually became mayor. Now, the mayor is elected from the city council. So I don't want to make it seem like he won the giant general election to be mayor. But then he wrote a check to a prostitute, which is, look, sex work is work.
Yes.
Not putting anybody down for doing anything like that. Don't write a check. City of Cincinnati checks to pay your prostitutes. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah.
I do have to give the Ronald Reagan joke. Politics is the second oldest profession in the world, but it bears a striking resemblance to the first.
Will
So
not
then,
disagree there.
Jerry found that, and he always had a show in Cleveland. It stands for A. And then, he noticed that, when they did crazy things, they got better ratings.
Yeah.
And then Geraldo had a famous episode where, right, he had Nazis and KKK guys on, and
the chair.
like a fight broke out,
And a
and
chair hit him in the face.
hit
him in the face, broke his nose.
And Geraldo was former boxer as well, so he threw some pretty good punches. And Jerry's like, we can do that without, the getting hit by the chair part. And there's no shortage of that. They gave the people what they wanted. People say, to argue it's the worst of American television, but those people had never seen Fox News, right? I would take a dozen of those shows over, what parades its truth now. And you can make an argument that's where tabloid television really started. Nice call, Phil, for Phil Donahue. But Phil Donahue was really smart. That was a smart show.
It was.
They did do a couple of sweeps things, stuff like that. But man, Phil was really a bright guy, and
he's still around.
He is still around. Married to one of my celebrity crushes, Marlo Thomas.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. And anyway, I was sad to see Jerry go. So I met him once in Chicago. So I actually have two stories. The first one is my brother met him. They were at some resort in South Carolina talking about something. And the story is told by my sister-in-law. And they were just sitting there for like an hour having this in-depth conversation, drinking, etc. And then the wives joined in. And Jerry said to my brother, said, I just want to thank you for treating me like a normal person. This is one of the best, most honest conversations I've had in a long time. And my brother said, I want to thank you for treating me like a normal person too. What do you mean? Yeah, my brother had no idea who he was.
I love it.
Wow,
that's hilarious.
So I've got a story like that, but I'll let you do your other story.
Well, the second one is just we were in Chicago. We were on Miracle Mile. My wife was shopping, and I went to an outdoor Starbucks and just sat down. Who comes and sit down next to me? Jerry Springer.
Nice.
Yeah, there's coffee. And he's like, boy, streets sure are crazy in the summer, right? And I'm like, yes, they are. You would know. He laughed.
Nice.
That was it.
So
Nice guy.
mistaken the celebrity story, but mistaken identity celebrity story. My friend Tony had recently come out. He was living with us. And in fact, over 9/11 weekend, I found out that he had come out. And so I fly back to Atlanta, and a couple months later, he's going to parties downtown Atlanta. Atlanta's got a vibrant LGBTQ scene there, and so he's at a penthouse party in Midtown Atlanta, and there's just all kinds of people there, and he starts striking up a conversation with this guy named Fred. And they talk for like 30 minutes. Fred talks about he's in the music scene, and then he does a lot of he's going to be doing this tour coming up, and Tony's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So Fred, what is it you say you do? He goes, well, I'm a singer in a band. He goes, oh, which band? He goes, the B-52s. He was talking to Fred Schneider. I was like, Tony, I got to take your gay card away, man. Like,
I thought you were going to say Fred Durst, and I was going to be really unhappy.
Yeah, I mean, Tony's a great guy, but I did not recognize Fred Schneider.
I've got me a car. It seats about 20, so hurry up and bring your jukebox money.
Yeah, Rock Lobster. But Yeah. So, but again, it's this lasting influence on American television that people were like, well, America will never be the same because of Jerry Springer. But I think Jerry Springer really just exposed certain things about America, like the
That
gritty
seemed to be
underbelly of
the beginning of our obsession with reality TV, though. I think if it wasn't for Jerry Springer, we wouldn't have the fucking Kardashians. It all led that way. Because think about it, MTV put out the reality shows, and then the talk shows started getting a little racier. Daytime TV started picking it up, and then Jerry Springer happened. And there are 3 people from my county that were on Jerry Springer.
we
Little bitty Warren County, Tennessee, they were on Jerry Springer. Everybody knew Jerry, and that began the obsession with, "Oh my god, what are they gonna do next? Who knows? Who knows
Dan,
what's gonna happen?"
do you know Angela Owens?
Angela
Down in
Owens, yes, I do.
Yeah, she was on Jerry Springer back in the late '90s, I think. But I mean, she told us that essentially it is. They knew that you were.
It's
Uh,
somewhat scripted.
yeah, it's scripted. They don't know for certain that you're lying, but they're not going to dig too hard to say you're lying about
Right.
whatever. Because remember at the end of or during the shows, they would have like, if you are a midget in love with a 6 foot tall plus person, call us and tell us about it, and we'll bring you on the show. Um, so they would farm out for some of this stuff to try and
Mhm.
get these guests on there, and people wanting that 15 minutes of fame would answer it.
Yeah.
And she had done a show. I saw it one time. She shared a link to it. I saw one time how it going down, and she was like, "Yeah, we were just messing around. It was a couple of us getting in on these shows, and they are scripted. Like I don't know. There's that one YouTuber that does he'll set up um, like Facebook pages for certain corporations, and then respond to people who are making like homophobic remarks, and he just trolls them as the corporation page. He was on a couple of those judge shows.
Interesting.
Um, I would actually say that it's probably more the 24-hour news cycle that has really brought a lot of this stuff out. In that
Yeah.
nations or companies are trying to find this kind of infotainment type stuff to fill the airwaves.
Well, I think what happened too is that it exposed, I think that those guys proved the market. They showed that there were enough people interested in that sort of thing that you could get good ratings on television. Now, that being
Yeah.
said, it's not, I mean, we come back to the same problem that we're at. I can count on one body appendage the number of episodes of Jerry Springer that I've watched.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I watched it like back in the early '90s when I didn't, I was, skipping class from college. But
right. I have seen clips, but I've never seen a show. I've never
yeah,
seen any show of that sort. Excuse me. I think that, but I'm not the person that is running the country. I'm not the person that nobody's seeking my vote. They don't care about me because, right? I'm a libertarian. I'm interested in independence and all that stuff. They
yeah.
want the people who are easily manipulated, and the Springer Show and all the other shows like it show that there's a large group of people out there that are quite literally going to be influenced by bread and circuses.
Well, and look at political television now, where you've got you go on Fox News or CNN, and people are even sports now. You watch a sports show where you've got these people just absolutely screaming at one another over just banal subjects. Like, I don't care if someone signed a multi-million-dollar contract to play for the Eagles. I don't care if somebody is, Donald Trump drinks 6 cans of Diet Coke a day. It doesn't matter to me. That Why are you screaming at each other over this? Like, why is that news?
Right.
Why are you screaming? But it's that 24-hour news cycle now that they've got to fill, and they know that kind of circus is bringing eyeballs to the television.
I will
And
tell you
competing.
the thing that, like, my latest huge outrage is clickbait on YouTube, especially like right now. The NFL draft just finished,
Yeah,
and so people, their headline is, the trade that is going to make it for the Bears or just announced, blah blah blah. But it's all clickbait. They get in there and it's just this guy saying, you know, usually it's not even a fan of the team. It's like, yeah, so the Bears are going to trade, or if they're smart, this is what they would do, and this makes it up. But they get the initial click, and they get people in there, and there's no way to, at least I don't think there's a way to downvote.
No, there is on YouTube. There's
I
a
guess it's Facebook. There's not a thumbs down.
Yeah,
but
if you do give lots of angry reacts to a post, it does tell the algorithm to hide it.
Interesting.
Angry and
sad.
crying emotes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll work on that a little bit more. It's just insane, this shit that people put up there with the most clickbaity of all titles.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's awful, especially in the sports stuff, because they know that. And watch, they focus on like the Bears, the Patriots,
the big teams,
the teams that have like the big following. So you're going to see a bunch of Philadelphia Eagles stuff out there. You're not going to see so much on the Houston Texans or anything like that. But any team that has a big following, you'll see all just junk. You got to be really good about wafting through it, and YouTube really feeds into that. On almost every subject, there's always just clickbaity stuff. Like I follow a lot of space stuff, and there's just
that's what we just discovered in outer space.
Yeah, we discovered a star. Right. Well, there's a lot of them.
Right. Unexplainable phenomena happen just outside of ...
Yeah. But yeah, for better or worse, we're a different nation than when Jerry started his show.
Yep.
I don't know that it's exposing rednecks. I think it's just exposing the it is going after the, and I hate to say less
idiots. It's exposing idiots, and that's what the problem is.
Yeah.
And as I've been on this rant recently where I'm not being particularly politically correct, there is a real problem that there are people who want different things than me, and they are more numerous than me. And so they are able to get the things that they want because we live in a democracy, and they get to vote these things in.
Yeah.
Even though, here's a good example. Think about family size, right? The American population is declining. People don't have 10 kids anymore.
Yep.
And I actually don't know how many kids either of you guys has, but AJ mentioned having kids. I'm just hoping you don't have 10. But there is.
Look at her face.
And if I had a uterus, it would have run away screaming.
Right. It is, but there are a lot of people out there who do that. That is, their plan. More power to them, but I don't mean more power to them. I mean, have power over your own lives.
You do it.
Else's.
Yeah, you do you.
Exactly. And I do often think that, if we're going to have a system in which voting allows you to have power over other people, then there should be a basic competency test that you have to pass to be able to vote. If you're voting about your own, if you're voting about your own life, absolutely. You are sole proprietor of your life. No requirements involved. If you're voting about being in charge of somebody else's life, damn it, be competent. Pass a math test.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. I just know that the way that the system's built is that who will keep from voting? It'll keep idiots. Yes, it'll keep idiots from voting. But if you're in a state like Mississippi where they don't have really good education, then it's essentially a poll test.
I mean, a literacy test for a long time was used as a racist tool to keep black people from voting.
Yeah.
And a poll tax, which was when you had to pay a fee, was meant to keep poor people, which meant blacks, from voting. For a long time, those things were used to be discriminatory. But I don't want that anymore. I just want some basic competency where I will tell you what the questions are going to be beforehand, and then you have to answer them. Like almost like a CAPTCHA for voting.
Well, have you ever
Identify.
As difficult as it is
Are
for
you a
some people
robot?
just to get to the polling places to vote, how much more difficult is it going to be for them to take these competency tests? And when are they going to be scheduled? During work hours?
No,
Because damn near everything is scheduled during work hours.
I would put it on the voting machine. Have a little caption in the beginning, and if they can't identify all the pictures that have crosswalks in them, no vote.
No,
Well, that
'cause
would
I
teach
fail that
people
crap all the time, man. Because there's always that little
that little like corner that has
photo.
nothing, you know.
Yeah.
Is that a boat? I mean, my eyesight sucks to begin with, so I'm like, is that a boat or is that? I don't know. I just guess a lot. I think eventually the CAPTCHA gets frustrated with me and just says, "Just go.
Yeah.
You're too stupid anyway to be a robot."
All right. Maybe something else. Maybe you have to be able to have a conversation
Well,
and convince AI that you're a human being.
you know, the funny thing is, I know it's floated around every once in a while. There's that. It's like a seventh grade civics test from Hazard, Kentucky, from like 1920. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I would have failed this
Yeah.
hard. And I'm reasonably well versed on, Constitution, and there are questions they asked there, like I have no idea. I would have failed.
Yeah. I mean, I want some basic things. All right. I want you to be able to name the planets. Uh, I want you to be able
Let's get
to.
three of them. Three of
Huh?
them. 3 planets. Tell me 3 planets.
I will tell you. I told you my new mnemonic, right, for remembering them.
I think so.
Mary's virgin explanation makes Joseph suspect upstairs neighbor.
Nice. Like it.
The I want you to be able to solve for a right triangle. If I say I have a triangle and one side it's a 90-degree triangle and one side is 3 and one side is 4, how long is the hypotenuse? And I'll wait. I'll let you figure it out. I'll let you say, okay.
Oh, no, I'd never vote.
What?
You get to
You involved that,
math.
Dave.
You just
You
lost
you
me
get to
too.
math. Yeah, I'm done.
Well, I'm sorry, but y'all should
I
have
was
been.
good with math until they started putting letters in that shit. I was good with math. Once letters started getting in, I'm a strict segregationist when it comes to
Pretty much.
letters and numbers. Keep them apart. Find X, it's right there.
Let's see what else is on my basic. Yeah, I think that's a good topic. What are the questions that go on your basic voter competency test? AJ, what's one that
Who
you
is
put
the
on there? You
president?
can't vote unless you can answer this question.
What is
I
your
don't know. I'm
state?
very biased, so
That's all right. It can be biased. Dave, what do you got?
I got
as
who is the
someone that
president?
whose group of people have not always had the right to vote, I'm really hesitant towards this, and I'm in Tennessee,
Yep.
so it's not unlikely that people in Tennessee, such as myself, will lose the right to vote.
It's an interesting question.
What is the average air velocity of an unladen swallow?
African or European?
I don't know. Ah! No, I'd say, who's the president and what is your state capital?
What is your state motto?
Capital.
Oh, state capital.
There are a lot of people who don't know what their state capital is.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty reasonable. Who's the president? Who's the governor? And what's your state capital? And know beforehand, we tell everybody those are the 3 questions you have to answer.
Yeah. And then, a good vote, get out the vote effort will have those questions on a little card for you as you carry them into the polling booth.
Right. Now, I mean, I do want the math thing on there. I want to tell everybody, let's say, look, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's how you solve for a right triangle. And then you got to be able to do that. Otherwise, you shouldn't be making decisions for other people.
Math would, I would just stay home.
Don't the people that represent the people that don't have math skills as well?
Actually, I would rather have the test on the people running for office.
I'm just saying.
Well,
that one makes more sense to me.
That is actually when I was executive director of the Libertarian Party, we talked about putting that together. every year in DC having a completely voluntary, but we figured we could get a few people to come do it, and just a 6th grade math and science, and ask all the representatives and senators to come and take it. And then we publish their scores. And, some of the really smart people would come and do it. Right.
Yeah.
Thomas Massey would come. I mean, that guy's an MIT grad. Okay. He would crank it out of there. Bill Frist, he's probably not in office anymore. But there's a few other smart elected people who would come and do that. And then we'd shame the other one. We'd say, look, Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Lauren Boebert. I'd love to see that score.
Exactly.
Wouldn't come back at.
Marjorie Taylor Greene misspelled her name on the test. We asked her what her favorite color was. She did not put green.
I don't know. I do have a problem
what her favorite color was, and she put Thousand Island.
Yeah. I do have a problem with the idea of a test for voter competency. I mean, I get the intent. We want our people to be educated who are making decisions. The problem is our educational system right now needs a complete revamp from stem to stern for it to make sense.
Yeah. And we just I'm not really looking for a job, but every now and then I'll apply for a job that looks interesting. And I had to take one of those government skill assessment things where, it's all about, they explain a scenario to you. John is the 3rd person in line and Mary's in line before John. But if Mary's in column A, then she can't be in column B, blah, blah, blah. And you have to solve that shit. And at one point in time, I was doing it and I recognized the fact that, that's a privileged person's answer, because I was in a gifted and talented program in 8th grade. They taught us how to solve logic problems like that. Yeah. You make a truth table, you write that shit down. And if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to do it. And I was talking about it with my wife, and she'd never seen questions like that before, even though she's a very smart person. So I get the idea that, there are things that people have educational privilege advantages for. And that's not what we want to test for. We don't want to test that. I just want some level of competency. You can't tell me, you can't, I don't want to elect you if you're a person that thinks the sun revolves around the earth.
Or flat earth, or...
Yeah. Any of that stuff.
I would much rather have it on the elected officials than the voters themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a nice thing too, is to
you
have the elected officials, and then they go into an escape room, and if they don't get out, tough, you can't serve.
Yeah,
which exactly. I've never done an escape room. Have you ever done that?
No, I've not done an escape room.
AJ, is it fun?
Yeah, I was with a group of like 4 siblings and like a couple of their kids. I was dating one of the siblings, and it was fun. We had a good time. We got out before the timer went off, so we all got, I don't know, like souvenir T-shirts or something like that.
You get to survive the purge.
Interesting.
But it was good. I mean, it was there were multiple ages, so it was kind of good for everybody, because there were clues that kind of kids would automatically get. So that was cool too. And then there were harder ones.
It's a good comment by
too long for us.
It's a good comment by Hody. It may be more down to if the tests were more about EQ than IQ. Politicians in charge of everything, especially who gets to vote. Yeah, I don't trust the politicians to make any decision that makes it easier for us to vote. Or so this may be kind of up their alley, that they'll do a test like this and make it Mensa level hard. So,
well, I mean, it's funny you say that, because that's where I go, like in the long run. There's a point in time which I'm like, you know what? I really only want people who can do calculus to be able to vote. That would make me happier. But I recognize that's elitist again. So it's got to be something else. There's just got to be some. I mean, the fundamental problem, obviously, government shouldn't be allowed to tell us what to do. Let's solve that problem instead.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about education. So,
yep.
But Let's
money,
see.
not a damn thing funny. Got to have a car in this land of milk and honey.
Word. So this week we talked last week about Representative Zoe Zephyr being not recognized by the Speaker of the Montana House of Representatives following her comments on the floor during a anti-trans legislation debate. She was then officially banned, censured, and banned from the House floor this past week on Tuesday. She can't be on the House floor or in the gallery. She can vote, but only by Zoom.
Yep.
And
Let's give a shout out to our friend Apollo, who's out there right now too.
Yeah. Hey, Apollo. I've said this since the Jones and Pearson incident that this is kind of going to become a feature of our democracy, in that, and it's really unnecessary. Like, she said something like, when you are praying in this legislature, you pass this legislation, you praying in the legislature, I hope you see the blood on your hands. Because
when you bow your heads to pray. Yeah, I hope you see the blood on your hands. And I was like, I want that on a T-shirt.
I have heard blood on your hands on at I know at least the West Virginia legislature before. I've heard it on the floor of the Georgia legislature before. To me, that was not a censurable offense, but the problem is both what we saw in Tennessee and what we've seen in Montana is these states have super majorities, so it doesn't really matter. The rules don't matter. They can do whatever they want to, because they're going to fall in line with what their party wants.
Well, I mean, as unfortunately we know way too well, with a 2/3 majority, a parliamentary body can, it
really has no rules.
Yeah, exactly.
It has
there are no rules because the body can suspend the rules and do whatever they want.
Yep.
And so maybe, I would hope people are waking up to the idea that this is really exemplary of the problem, that people shouldn't be in charge of each other more than anything else. The problem isn't the single house. The problem is that they have that kind of power.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if would we think it was okay if, it's 2/3 Republicans in Montana, but what if it were 40% Republican, 40% Democrats, and they agreed to censure the 20% Libertarian? It would still be bullshit. It has nothing to do with which party is doing it. It's the fact that the power exists.
Yeah. Because what happens, let's say a Republican legislator in California says something about the trans community. California has a supermajority of Democrats. They could vote to remove that. It's not that it's going to be unfairly parsed out. It's going to be parsed out where where they have this ability to target an extreme minority within the legislature. We saw and it's really an unforced error, because I know you pay attention to the Tennessee legislature, but from moment one of your life until a week and a half ago, had you ever given one moment's thought about the Montana state legislature? Or would have ever known somebody named Zoe Zephyr in Missoula, Montana? You've raised this person's national ID by targeting them. It's really an unforced error. She could have made that she made that statement during a debate. They go ahead and vote. Only people watching the Montana state legislature on TV would know a thing about it. And she may be able to release some ads based off of her debate and all that stuff, but no one's going to know that. And same thing with the guys down in Tennessee. These guys were, obscure representatives from Nashville and was it Knoxville?
Memphis.
Oh, Memphis.
Gloria was from Knoxville.
Yeah. And you just raised their, I will guarantee you that the next Democratic National Convention, all three of them will get a primetime speaking slot.
Well, at least Jones and Pearson were at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened before.
Right.
And no, the Republicans, at least in Tennessee, I'm not going to generalize because I hate when people do that, but at least the ones in Tennessee are not being sly about anything they're doing at all. There was a Republican named Scotty Campbell that was found guilty of sexual harassment of 2 teenage interns there at the house. Now, they found this out just a few days before they voted to expel Jones, Pearson, and Johnson, right?
Yeah.
They knew this was happening, so they're just covering that crap up until they were forced to deal with it by the local news, like Phil Williams with Channel 5. So it is backfiring because,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you said, they have raised their notoriety, and there's videos of them walking around Washington and people going, "Hey, can I shake your hand? Hey, can I get your picture?"
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they made their own bed, y'all.
I mean,
I'm really enjoying watching it because now, like, I mean, the session's over now, but they can't backtrack. They can't take
no.
it back.
And now they can point out that the Republican legislature are costing the state of Tennessee lots of money, having to
2 more
rerun these
special
elections.
elections. Uh-huh.
Um, it was an absolute waste of time and money. And hopefully, before the legislature reconvenes, they decide something on the speaker and what his fraud of not living in the district and taking all that per diem money.
All that money.
Yeah,
We will see what happens. There's even a video of him and Governor Lee at his polling place holding signs. So
twist
it's
and
like
drag.
there's video evidence of this happening with the governor.
Yeah,
Um, and see, here's the deal. These old men, we won't talk about age, we won't talk about ages. These old men have underestimated the power of Gen Z and TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter because it's everywhere.
yeah,
They have organized and got these horrendous billboards up. Um, eh, the organization with the young people, I think that they underestimated Gen Z. They really did. They're like, oh, well, they never come outside. They're
well,
smarter than
that's I
everybody
mean,
gives them credit for.
well, the thing is, every election cycle we hear about, oh, what's going to be the impact of the youth vote, and it's so
Hmm.
hit and miss. Whether when Barack Obama ran for president, first time they came out, the kids came out in force.
Hmm.
2020, the kids came out in force once again. They're counting on it. Can that can that passion sustain from 2023 through the 2024 election? That's the question. I think a lot of the issues that Gen Z tend to be passionate about will sustain them. I think states will do things to push people to the polls, whether it's anti-trans or trans-friendly legislation like constitutional amendments and things like that. Just they're using these things as kind of incentive for people to get out to vote. We want you to vote on this constitutional amendment that enshrines trans rights. Yeah, let's get out to vote. While you're here, vote for Joe Biden for president, even though Joe Biden has been awful when it comes to LGBTQ, and all he came around very recently. But they're going to make that sales pitch of, well, who are you going to vote for? Are you going to vote for Joe Biden? Or are you going to vote for Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or whatever the Republicans end up with?
Well, it's been interesting watching this because I'm in Tennessee, and I'll see people that are commenting on stories about Tennessee or the Tennessee Three or whatever, and they're like, "Gosh, Tennessee, y'all need to do better. Y'all need to vote better." It's like, motherfucker. All right, it's called gerrymandering, shit ballot access, and a
Yes,
tiny Democratic Party. You can kiss my ass.
and
That
that's what
makes me
we're dealing.
so fucking mad. So it's like, you're not here. You don't understand. If we are given a ballot, there are only Republican choices. It is so rare. Like we had a local Democrat that won, and that the one that actually won.
Unicorn.
And it's because his opponent was an idiot. But I also watched the debate was like, Paul Sherrill, known most recently for thinking that lynching was where we needed to go. Um, he was talking about banning books. His opponent also talking about banning books. There was no difference. We
Right.
had two Republican opponents.
Yeah.
That was it. people are not, they don't understand that. This was set in motion 20 years ago.
Yep.
If you look back at the maps, when I was graduating high school, when to point this out, because Gen Z actually pointed this out, Columbine had happened. It's like, what big events happened during that? Okay, well, while I was in high school, we had Columbine, and then right after, we had 9/11. That's when things started getting redrawn, because people were listening to we got to get the weapons of mass destruction, America, America, America. And it worked. It worked. It was beautiful. It worked perfectly for them.
American. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right out.
And no, third parties will never have a chance in Tennessee. They absolutely will never have a chance.
Yeah, I've often tried to kind of imagine what's going to be that lynch point that gets third parties on the ballot. And it's to me, I thought we were getting closer 2016 through 2020 that people were like, I'm tired of the circus. But I think through self-sabotage within our old party, and there really isn't another one that really is kind of poised to step into that frame. I don't trust the Greens to do it. Pirates don't have the ballot access. The Keystone doesn't. They're really still just in Pennsylvania. There really isn't that inheritor of what the Libertarian Party had. So yeah, it's going to be a while before we see something pop up. But right now, the everything is so entrenched.
I don't disagree. Okay, so I know Tennessee and Georgia, because I had a friend that ran for office against Marjorie Taylor Greene. Ballot access is terrible in these two states. Is it like that in most southern states?
Yeah, Georgia is probably one of the worst when it comes to ballot access, especially for like state house, state senate races. We do have ballot access. Or I keep saying we, but the LP does have ballot access within like state races, because they do well on public service commissioner races, which tend to be just a Republican versus a Libertarian. So they get the ballot percentage to have statewide access. But for individual House races, they have to get like, I want to say like 5% of the previous vote total. And that in a state House district, like if you're Atlanta, that is, I mean, it's hard, but it's not because of a smaller geographical area. But there are state House districts. I remember at one point there was a state House district that stretched from Cobb County, Georgia, which is just outside of Atlanta, up the Alabama border, across the Tennessee to the North Carolina border, and then down the South Carolina border to a town called Toccoa. Absolutely just insane district. Eventually got voted out. But how do you do ballot access signatures in a district like that, where the district for a lot of the length of it is basically a county road or 25 feet off of the state border wide? Try and find the 5% in those districts, and you can't. So Chase ran for John Lewis's old seat, but the thing is with that seat is there was a special election, so they don't have ballot access for those, or ballot petition signature requirements for those. But for a state house or state senate seat, it's been years since we've gotten a candidate on there because of those laws. Yeah, Georgia's awful. Virginia is awful. Every once in a while they'll get a statewide candidate on the ballot, but it's a Herculean effort because you got to get 10,000 statewide, and then you have to get I think 400 per congressional district. So it's not.
What are you doing down there? Are you doing calculus?
Yeah, Dan's passing a citizenship test.
I am. I'm secretly removing the franchise from everybody who can't recite iambic pentameter.
Damn it. Let's see. Oh, favorite story of the week. What's your favorite story of the week? Talked about it earlier. It was quiz.
My favorite story of the week?
No, AJ's one that makes her happy every time she sees it.
Oh.
Tucker.
Yeah, Fox News.
Bye, bitch.
yeeted Tucker Carlson. I've heard various reasons, and they both are well, two main reasons, both very plausible. I would get fired if I did this to my boss. One, Tucker Carlson referred to his boss in an email as a "see you in Tahiti," and he cost his boss $789 million.
Right.
Like either one of those is fireable offense to me.
I dropped a $5,000 scope one time and thought I was going to die. Like,
Yeah. I one time I did an expense report that was underreporting like $83, and I was paranoid for like a week. Like, I'll pay it back in triple, man. Just don't fire me, please. Don't send me to jail, bro. Yeah, I could imagine costing my employer $789 million.
Whoops.
Jeez.
That's my bad.
Yes, it is.
I do like that he is the only one that's been fired from MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News, correct?
Was he with
All three of those?
MSNBC at one point?
I feel like I read that somewhere.
I don't
And
know.
since I don't have Facebook, I read the news.
That is a hat trick.
Hold
Right.
on, I'll look. Y'all might be faster than me.
I don't remember him being on MSNBC, but then, my cable news consumption really, it consists of BBC World News and Deutsche Welle English.
Did you say BBC World News?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I've been watching DK recently. The
DK.
The German thing. Maybe it's
No,
DK.
that's Deutsche Welle, DW.
Yeah.
They're good. France 24 is all right. They're kind of hit and miss sometimes.
Yeah. But I agree. You get better news coverage outside of the United States.
Yeah. Now,
a lot of Al Jazeera too, I have to admit.
Oh yeah, Al Jazeera is excellent when it
I was
talks
wrong.
about. Now, don't trust these news outlets when they talk about domestic news.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
don't trust BBC on British news. I don't trust Deutsche Welle on German news.
Don't believe Al Jazeera that
On Qatari.
Khomeini is loved by everybody in the country.
Well, no, I mean when they talk about Qatari news, I won't, because they're owned by the Qatari government.
Right.
But when it comes to talking about what's going on in the United States and kind of having an unbiased, or at least I know what their bias is.
Well, so to that end, if I can blow my own horn a little bit, we had a great article on Let.live in defense of biased media, where we talked about the fact that one of the great things that we should be grateful of, the fact is that there is such bias in media, because the people who are biased, the people who want to, then Manala.
Yeah. Sorry, it was very distracting.
That's right.
I was like, oh, they got a lot to say.
Oh, wait, price is lower than any competitor. I don't know any competitors, but
go to dogehype.com. We're the only show that reads their spam.
I know.
Yeah.
On the air.
But back to the biased media thing, I think about right. Fox really dug in on Van Johnson. If you guys remember that case, and I don't actually remember all the details about it, but he had done something wrong, and they dug it up. That's good. The liberal media would not have gone after that. Likewise, right? All this stuff that's coming out now about Clarence Thomas and now Justice Roberts, right? Essentially accepting all these bribes, right? Fox wasn't going to cover that.
Yeah.
OAN wasn't going to cover that. You need the biased media to dig up the dirt, because that's what you want. That's what journalism is. It used to be, there was a point in time where journalists actually felt like their obligation was to dig up the dirt. Now they only dig up the dirt on the people they don't like. So good. Let's have a wide variety of media. Everybody should have somebody who doesn't like them.
Yes. I
don't feel like Tucker Carlson met any of your parameters there, though.
No, I mean, Tucker Carlson hates liberals.
Yeah, I mean, he would put.
Yes, but what did he actually dig up and report that we wouldn't have found out from somebody else that actually did their job? Well, he just ran his mouth, and then he texted about it. Well, not only did he lie on air, but then he was like, "Man, this is some bullshit. We're all saying this crap about Trump, and none of us believe it."
Yeah,
So where Tucker was valuable is that he had the eyeballs. So if he was parroting someone
Ugh,
else's stories,
just
then he
awful.
was getting it out in front of more people. Now, yeah, it was your grandmother and grandpa, yelling at their TV, and talking about MAGA and the election stolen. But if you get a story that say, yeah, Van Johnson, there's that other guy that is on CNN now, Sellers, Bakari Sellers, I think his name is. He was a state house, or he was a governor candidate in South Carolina that had a DUI that he tried to, kind of not strong arm the cops, but trying to talk the cops out of it while he was running, um, or it emerged while he's running. Yeah, the left side media was not going to carry that story, but the right side media will. Now, I'm not going to see it. Good evening and welcome to. But I don't know. There is value. I'm not going to watch Fox News. I'm not going to watch. I watch CNN if there's like a
Mm,
breaking news, something happening.
wasn't the whole lawsuit that they had lied?
Well, they headlined, and in fact, there was a
That's what I'm
lawsuit that
saying
was
is what
before.
did he dig up? What.
Well, yeah, on the
I don't
Dominion
think
stuff.
Tucker Carlson met any of the parameters as a journalist. I think he was a talking head.
Well, most of them
And they
are.
were like, this is what side we're on right now. Say this shit.
Well, most of them are that way. They are talking heads that are parroting, whether it's CNN parroting kind of a center left perspective, MSNBC doing a hard left perspective, progressive left perspective, Fox News doing a right center right perspective, and then OANN and Newsmax going far right. Which is scary to think that Fox News is kind of right center right. They're a little further right than CNN is further left.
Yeah, I mean they're not OAN,
Who
they're
else
not
is
News
lying
18,
to
but
us?
they're pretty crazy.
Yeah,
So if they're all talking heads, then wouldn't they all be lying?
they are all lying to us.
I
They're
will
lying
say,
about they're lying about different things. Now, what got Tucker Carlson in trouble was that he was lying about a corporation and causing
Yes.
a defamation. So,
Yes.
I have to say, just having read an article of some of the most outrageous things that Tucker Carlson has
oh
done,
God.
AJ, you're right. This guy has like,
Hey,
Well,
there's
he's a huckster. I'm not saying that he's not a huckster.
in
I mean,
2000 in
yeah.
2006, Tucker Carlson called all women dogs on the air.
Yeah,
He
I
claimed
remember
that wind power is a scam. He
that.
said that Cory Booker is not allowed to discuss racism because he had a privileged black upbringing. He
Mm,
called the Iraqis primitive monkeys. Uh, he, in 2019, when arguing about climate, he dismissed climate reports that were done by female scientists because he said women can't do science.
mhm.
Blames immigration for making homelessness worse. Claims the metric system was a conspiracy theory.
It is.
Um, said white supremacy is a hoax.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
He's pretty terrible, actually.
I
Yeah, I mean,
don't know any quality anything that we got from the
You know what,
man.
AJ? I take it back. You're right. This guy is an asshole. There is a
He
time
doesn't
and a
meet
place.
your parameters.
There is a time and a place for biased media. Tucker Carlson is not it. Tucker Carlson is
He's
just an asshole.
awful.
well, and he
Awful.
got
He's the
fired.
mother
So
Tucker.
yeah, he is a mother Tucker. Let's say I was incredibly pleased that he did meet his end with Fox News.
Oh, I was
Although
like, whoa,
I
are
really do
we
think that
breaking
he's going to end up
something?
on OA, either the three places I think he ends up: OANN, Newsmax, or Glenn Beck's
The
conglomeration,
Blaze.
the Blaze. Yeah,
Oh, I
um,
haven't heard that
and
name in a minute. Ooh,
yeah,
Glenn
but
Beck is just the ugliest little shit.
I
I
think he
can't stand
also.
him. There are certain like conservative like news that I'll always associate with my ex-husband, and so they will never give me ever get another chance with me.
well,
I think
from another
he might try to
perspective,
do
though,
the Joe Rogan thing as well.
So what?
um, yeah, have his own podcast like Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could.
Gross.
Uh, From the other perspective, though, CNN within hours or an hour announced that it released Don Lemon
Hi,
from
Dawn.
It was
from
also terrible.
employment. He was
Also
also
terrible.
However, did not claim the metric system was a conspiracy.
He did not. He did not.
But he did make some sexist remarks on the air. Has been on the air completely plastered during the New Year's celebration. Got in trouble a couple of years ago for that, and has had terrible ratings. His was more of you are one, terrible ratings, and two, getting in trouble, versus Tucker Carlson's. You called your boss the C word, and you cost us $789 million.
Yeah.
Tucker's was much more. I wasn't surprised Don Lemon got released just because of his ratings, but I was surprised that I think Fox News doing that day gave them the cover to do it without.
There was always this conversation in journalism, and I use the word journalism loosely, as to why Democrats can't have a person who is as popular as a Rush Limbaugh or a Tucker Carlson, or, you think about it, you say, who's the most popular person in that space on the left? And you can't really say Howard Stern, because Howard's sort of his own entity in that space.
Mm-hmm.
He's not really political overall.
Exactly. So is there something about right-wing culture that raises people like that up, that they are searching for false idols to
well, as it goes back to our original story with Jerry Springer. It's that whole idea of selling anger. Like right-wing radio sells anger. Like your job, if you think that you lost your job because of those dang Mexicans who came over the border,
jobs.
They took our jobs. Yeah. If you think that happened, well, what the heck?
You and I make some weird references, Dave, that I occasionally think we leave the audience out on. That's a reference to South Park, folks.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get the
jobs.
They took our jobs. But yeah, you're now. I think that there are people on the left that can do the whole hate thing.
Well, you think about the person who came the closest, right? Al Franken had a show for a little while, but it was never big.
I think the most, and I think he more had his own niche rather than being left, would be maybe Don Imus.
I want to know how that's going to be good for me, Al Franken. Because I'm good enough,
smart enough,
and gosh dog it, people like me.
That's right. That's a Stuart Smalley.
That's Stuart Smiley, right?
Let's see. But yeah, I'm.
You were going to say the person who's closest to that on the left is Oprah?
No, Oprah.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah, Jon Stewart. Maybe. Oh God, what's his name?
Well, and in fact, what's the podcast that the Obama staff started? Pod Save America. I do recommend people, if you're looking for a political podcast that will challenge your thoughts, Pod Save America is really good. Some really, really smart people. If you like hanging out with smart people that you don't agree with politically, and chances are pretty good, if you're listening to our show, you're not going to agree with the Obama staffers, but those are some smart kids, and they've got a really interesting vision for the future. Pod Save America, and that became really popular as far as podcasts go. But nowhere near as popular as
network TV news or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, people talk about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan gets a couple million per show, which is good. But when it comes to like network news or cable news, that it really isn't that big of an audience.
I want to say quickly, so the Pod Save America guys, I forgot this, but the name of their company is Crooked Media. So whenever Trump says the crooked media, they're like, hey, he's Trump plugging our show again.
Advertising.
Yep.
As long as you get the name right. Yeah. Another media story this week is that right-wing shock jock Steven Crowder, his divorce became public, and it was ugly. A snippet of a video was released by a kind of a unknown media agency saying that where he was verbally attacking his wife, who was pregnant at the time, and kind of shows to the extent where what he was doing and why she left him. He's starting to talk about the divorce, but this is going to get ugly, I think.
Yeah, so there's an interesting thing going around. I believe, and I'm going to throw it out there for people to look at. I believe that he had gender affirming surgery. So he has a quote unquote had a condition called sunken chest, okay, which is a real medical condition. You can look it up. And he had surgery to inflate his chest. However, he's on the air. So first of all, it clearly wasn't life-threatening because he's like 32 years old.
Yeah.
Secondly, he scheduled the surgery 2 weeks before his wife's due date, so he was unable to do anything and help out. He's a douchebag. Thirdly, he said that he was doing it because he felt like he didn't look manly. So that's the definition of gender affirming surgery. If you have surgery that makes you feel more like the gender that you choose to identify with, gender that you identify with, then that's gender affirming surgery. So he had gender affirming surgery. So why is he so unhappy about other people who want to do that?
Because there is no.
Because they're idiots.
Exactly.
Well, no,
I know what you're talking about. One of my best friends in high school, it's your breastbone that's sunken in, and sometimes it can cause respiratory issues and cause cardiac issues, whatnot.
Yeah.
Usually, if you make it to adulthood and you haven't had an issue, they kind of just keep an eye on it. You know, if you ever have any issues, if you ever have trauma to this area, whatever it is. But with that surgery, there is also the option of going a little extra and making sure your pecs are, where you want and all of that too. It's funny how the gender affirming surgeries only apply to trans people.
Yeah.
If a woman wanted to go in there and, get some things, I mean, I'm watching these women walk around my county with frozen faces in the name of looking better.
I mean, wouldn't we call a boob job gender affirming surgery?
Boob job,
that
nose
is
job,
absolutely, absolutely.
Nose job too. I mean, to
nose jobs, nip and tuck, any of these things.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to argue that all genders have nose jobs. So that's not necessarily.
Well, it makes you feel to give your face a more feminine look or masculine look or whatever, however you want it.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean, nose
You
job.
don't usually hear
of
young men getting nose jobs unless there has been damage or whatever. Young women getting nose jobs over winter break, not super uncommon, even in Tennessee.
Right. I agree with that. It's interesting. People should be talking about that more. So, let's talk about it realistically. We know for a fact that I'm trying to think of somebody who's recently had either a boob job or you know what? There's a lot in my field, especially people having I guess I don't know if you'd call it gender affirming surgery, but making themselves taller, by having their legs broken and the bone stretched out. Would you call that gender affirmed surgery, or would you just?
Yeah, because I mean, especially for a guy wants to be. I mean, there are women who won't date a guy that's under 6 feet. So there are guys that do that to make themselves look more manly.
That's true.
Yep.
So I would. Yeah, Marilyn Manson did have a boob suit.
Yeah.
Hody made a good point. The Young Turks was awful like 4 years ago. I mean, it was just unwatchable.
They found their space.
Yeah. They're probably the best of the non-mainstream left media.
Yeah. Well, I
So
mean,
many adjectives.
Yeah.
That's like
Qualify the shit out of that. So, no, I just watching that video though of Steven Crowder. What a dick! Like,
yep. Now there
yeah.
is. I was going to say there's one other video that's making the rounds.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. I just saw the one where she's talking to him and like, "Hey, I need space. You are, you're being a jerk." And he was like, "Watch it." Like he was talking to her like a dog. Like, sit.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
He's a terrible person. If people haven't read Becca Congdon's Substack on this, it's
Ooh.
phenomenal.
All
It's
right.
off my Facebook page.
All right.
It's really good.
Nice.
Um,
Becca's awesome.
yeah. The one other thing I want to mention in this space though was the rat video that went out. Did you see that?
No,
No.
maybe not. Maybe.
Well, I'm glad you haven't seen it. It's particularly unpleasant. Angela McArdle recreated a Nazi.
Oh no, yeah, I've seen
video.
that video. I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's
And
called.
that is
what
some
that dumb
serious-
bitch do now?
She
So
called like myself and a
And you
lot of
can quote
people
me
who
on
were
that.
involved in the LP in the last 10 years rats, and that we chewed the wires of the LP and the car that is the LP, and that they have to rewire the car and get it running again. That's why they're having problems with their fundraising, and other than being absolutely awful people with shit messaging, is probably the reason why they're not raising any money. Plus, they're
Hmm.
the Mises Caucus chair for life really wants people to donate to the caucus so he gets a paycheck. And then the grifters that have filled that universe are all trying to get money donated to their caucuses or their podcasts and whatever that is. Like Maj Toure, who is another gem of a human being.
like we can talk about his great quote. He said, "If you bring a drag queen to read in the library, I'm gonna get up and assault you. And if you do it again, I'll be out on bail before you can do it again. And I'll assault you again because I don't care."
Yeah, Maj is so threatened by the LGBTQ community and drag that I am convinced this is a severely closeted person. The level of fear he shows and the level of anger he shows towards the community, I think that I'll say, I think there are a few cocks in his life.
Yeah, I
You can't display that level of anger. That level of anger only comes from extreme shame of who you are.
yeah. It's
It's
inexplicable.
never been a story. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's a video out of a couple trans people confronting him.
Yep.
And he says, "Well, that doesn't mean what you think it means." And yeah, I just
Yeah. Oh, well, where's the secret decoder ring for us to get the true meaning of that? Yeah.
yeah, a lot of crazy shit going on.
Yeah, there is. But it's been another fun-filled week on the political deep dive. Next week, we are going to be doing a deep dive on the mind.
On the what?
On the mind.
On the mind.
We've done outer space. Let's do inner space next week. And we'll
All right,
talk
I've got a
about.
homework assignment for everybody then.
All right.
Everybody should read Carlos Castaneda's The Yankee Way or Path to Power. See, I think I have it right here. Hang on.
Well, that's great. You have it right there.
The basic premise of Castaneda's thought is that the world is only what you perceive it to be. Okay? It is your mind that actually creates the world. But we live in this world with other people as well. And the only thing that prevents you from being able to fly is the fact that you don't believe that you can fly. If you could believe that you could fly, if you could convince yourself that you could fly, you could accept that then you have to overcome everybody else's belief that you can't fly.
Yes.
But the people who have a powerful enough belief in themselves can do things. So,
I've been doing a lot of research on meditation and things like that lately, and been doing meditation a lot lately, which I feel have been rather beneficial to me. Um, I do think that I don't know that it's what we perceive. I think there is more of a collective consciousness than up to individual interpretation. I think that there is connectivity all around that.
there is it's interesting too. So then the one other thing I'll say around this, and then we'll get into it in the show, is that I do believe that there is an expansion of consciousness that comes through hallucinogenics. And just for whoever's out there, if you haven't tried it yet, find a safe way to do it. But changing mushrooms changed my life, made me a kinder person. I was a real asshole beforehand. And
I've never done psychedelics. I do and we'll get into this more, but I do think that psychedelics are kind of that. It's a helping hand that people can do that naturally, but I think that psychedelics do make it a lot easier for people to tap into that consciousness. But that's all for next week. And I'm looking forward to doing that. Looking forward to seeing Dan freshly shaven for next week's show.
it's funny because I'm looking at it here. The beard doesn't look terrible.
No,
I don't hate it.
Man. Keep going if you want to.
Yeah.
You're just dooming the Bruins next season.
You know what I don't like about it is like it's so white. Like,
oh yeah, that's my problem. I can't grow anything like down here. All is all white, and it looks like I don't have any hair. And then I always have problems growing on the side of my face.
Right,
So
let me put the camera here so I can look at myself and at the same time. I mean,
but no, I mean you can see it.
Dash, but this,
go with the foo, man. Do a foo.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
All right,
we'll see. I did put the short blade on the trimmer, so I'm ready to go. But we'll see. I got a 9 o'clock call tomorrow. Jesus. All right, I got to go to bed.
Right. Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. We'll talk to everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Week.
Guys, I'm so sorry I missed last show. I'm really happy to be here with you guys.
Yeah, man. It's great to see you.
Me too.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one.